Aloha, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I want to give a big shout out to all my Patreons. I love you guys, man. And as always, the show notes will be posted in the Patreon feed for you guys to look through. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the Michael Kahalehoe shooting. For those of you who don't know, this took place in 2019. I'm not here to talk stink about anybody. I didn't pick this case because I don't like a particular person or family. Aloha, Manny, good to see you, bro. The reason that I'm doing this video is because now the family is suing the city for wrongful death. And to be honest, I don't blame them. But the answer to why I don't blame them may not be what you think. So as always, we'll go through the facts and the circumstances of this case as they've been reported, and for what it's worth, I'll give my perspective. So let's get into it. Okay, Michael Kahalehoe was born 1988, and apparently he was an all-star football and baseball player. I saw a bunch of articles written about him in high school. He went to Kapolei, I believe. He's got a big family. He seemed to be doing really well until he graduated high school. He got arrested July of 2010 for UEMV, which is unauthorized entry into a motor vehicle. So anytime someone enters a motor vehicle with the intent on committing a crime, then that's UEMV. So you could break into a car, you could steal coins, you could steal a backpack, or UEMV is also if someone punches you through your window because they technically illegally entered the vehicle to commit a crime, even though it was just their hand to punch you in the face. That's UEMV. That is a felony. He was arrested for UEMV July of 2010. He had only graduated, I think, like 3 or 4 years before that. 4 years later, in May, he was arrested for assault, 2015. And then 2017, he was arrested for UEMV again. I missed February 8th, 2011. He was arrested for UCPV, which is unauthorized control of a propelled vehicle. That's driving a stolen car. That's not auto theft. So there's a difference. Let me break that down. Auto theft is the act of stealing a vehicle. It's technically a theft second. Theft in the second degree because it's less than $20,000. Theft first is over $20,000, or if you steal a firearm. Theft second is a felony. It's anything over, I believe, $600, but it has to be under $20,000. So they consider auto theft, theft second. It is a Class C felony. The auto theft is separate from UCPV. UCPV is driving a stolen vehicle, unauthorized control of a propelled vehicle. So remember, July 12th of 2010, he was arrested for UEMV. On February 8th, 2011, he was arrested for UCPV. He had drugs on him. I'm assuming it was ice. I don't know. People in Hawaii, we're assuming it was ice. We know it was a felony, so it's got to be ice or heroin or cocaine. And then he was also arrested for place to keep. Place to keep is having a pistol that you're not supposed to have. It's illegal to carry a firearm. It's illegal to carry a pistol or a revolver in Hawaii. He was arrested. He had a gun, so it's place to keep. So you got UEMV first. That was a felony in July of 2010. You have 3 felonies, the UCPV, the ICE, and the place to keep in February of 2011. In May 26th of 2015, he was arrested for assault. That wasn't a felony. I believe it was assault third. And November 10th, 2017, he was arrested for UEMV again. All the links to my references and resources and citations can be found in the description below, as always. You can check the e-court kokua as well. So, by 2017, he had prior convictions for auto theft, firearms, drugs, and now was classified as a career criminal. HPD has a career criminal unit. It used to be called SED. Oh, it used to be called career criminal unit, but then it was changed to SED, and the SED guys are amazing. I worked with them for a little while. The best dudes ever. Shout out to the 169 class. I think we got a bunch of dudes up there. Appreciate you guys. Be safe out there. And then, so he was classified as a career criminal. In September 25th, 2018, he was arrested for drugs again, promoting a dangerous drug in the third degree. That's ice. That's basically, if you have a pipe that has residue, that's PDD third. Or if you have a bag, you have like a teen, that's going to be PDD third. Anything up to an eighth. I believe after an eighth, it's PDD second. It's promoting a dangerous drug second. Anything over a quarter is going to be PDD first. So, I could have that first one wrong. But that's how those classifications work. So, he went to jail. He went to prison. And he spent some time in, Saguaro Correctional Facility in Eloy, Arizona. And he got out of prison sometime in late 2018. That sets the scene for what's about to happen. So November 4th, 2019, shortly after Kahalehoe was released from prison around 2:05 a.m., 3 males used a stolen truck and rammed it into the glass doors of the Macy's at Moana Shopping Center, fronting the jewelry section. Those males then proceeded to load various jewelry displays into the back of the truck and fled. That truck was later found burning in the Makiki area. You guys may remember this crime. I will put a link in the chat for that crime and for the Crime Stoppers notification. Right there in the chat for you guys. So they basically smashed into the windows, if you remember this 2 years ago, and then took all the jewelry out and a bunch of stuff, loaded it in the back of the truck, and then dug out. Then they burned the car in Makiki. That's where police found it. That was a stolen car. So around that same time, the day before and the following week, there was a string of violent carjackings all throughout Oahu. So SED and the crew guys and all, they start working their snitches. Everyone's like, yo, we know the people who did this. They got video. They knew what was going on. They found out where the car was stolen from, who was in the area, what witness said, and they developed suspect profiles of who they think might have been responsible for those crimes. So Melvin Spillner, who's 24 years old, he's on the cover of this thumbnail, I believe. Melvin Spillner, he's 24, and Michael Kahalehoe, 30 years old, were identified as possible suspects, both in the Macy smash and grab and in the violent carjackings that had happened the week prior. Michael was on Steve Alm's Hope Probation program. You guys have all heard me talk about Hope Probation. Hope Probation is where it's supposed to be a reformed probation program wherein you get freedom for behaving well. If you violate your probation, you get immediate and swift discipline. So the first time you miss your colors, which we talk about, right? You don't call in and go and get your urine sample, or you do something that violates, like you get arrested or whatever, then you will get arrested. And it might be for 2 weeks you go to jail. Then you get out and they start over again. The more times you get arrested, the longer and more severe your punishment. So the next time you violate, you might go 6 months. And then the third time you violate, you might catch a year. And then the next time might be the rest of your sentence. That's what Hope Probation is. It was initially designed. Steve Alm came and talked to my recruit class when I was in recruit school at Kekulu and told us about the program he developed. And a bunch of states adopted it. None of the policemen I know were very happy with it. I thought it was a good program when I was in the police academy. And of course, probably most of the people I arrested in my career were on Hope Probation. So it was good for me as a police officer. And they did get swift punishment. But I don't know the overall. You'd have to look at data on that. Either way, that's Steve Alm's program that he developed. And I think that he ran on the platform for a prosecutor because he was able to develop that. I think that's why he won, to be honest with you. So that was on November 4th, when they had that smash and grab. And then from the 3rd to like the 10th, they had all those violent carjackings. That's robbery. That's robbery in the 1st degree. It had a firearm. There is no more serious crime. There is no more serious crime above robbery first with a firearm, except murder, manslaughter. This is a Class A felony. You got robbery, kidnapping, sex assault first, which is rape. Yeah. So those 3. Those are like the big dogs, the Class A felonies. That's what he's facing. So on Tuesday, November 12th, 2021, Crime Stoppers issues an alert for Kahalehoe, Spillner, and a third man named Victor Gascon III. Everybody had heard of him. I knew of him while I was on patrol. He was running amok, acting crazy, doing a bunch of crimes. Everybody was looking for him. So around 10:30 p.m. later that night, right after Crime Stoppers issues this alert for these people, 10:30 that night, plainclothes officers from SED, shout out to SED, and the CRU units, the crew units, who were looking out for Kahalehoe, spotted the stolen blue Subaru that he was driving. You can see that in the thumbnail. And I have close-up pictures in my Patreon for my Patreon users. They followed that vehicle into the Shell gas station located at 577 Farrington Highway. I have a link for those of you that are in the chat. I'm going to post it right here. For you can see, you can click on that and see exactly the right one. I'll answer some of those questions in the chat. Some good questions right there I saw. So, this is the Shell gas station. You can look around that on Google Maps. So they spot the car, the blue Subaru that was stolen, that they suspected him of driving, and they were looking for him because this Crime Stoppers bulletin came out. They were notified that he had this warrant and that he was a suspect in the smash and grabs and the robbery first, the carjackings. So they're looking for him. Full-blown mission. This is full-blown ops plan. They wrote up the ops plan. SED got the crew units together. They all went and they sat on where they thought he was. They probably followed him. I don't know, I wasn't there, but this is how typically that stuff works. They see him. He pulls up. They follow him. He pulls into the gas station. That's the time to hit. You guys know how that works. Get plenty of cars everywhere. It's hard for him to get away. We don't want him to get out of the parking lot where he can start banging cars, driving through lights, and killing people. That's the idea. There's a lot of places where he can't drive. There's a building, there's gas pumps, and a bunch of cars. So the officers should pull up. They should jam him on each side. He can't go nowhere. That's how you keep people safe. That is not how you get yourself in danger. That is how you keep people safe. HPD, we don't care about the cars. Jam them so they can't get away. Then he doesn't do nothing stupid. If he feels like he can't get away, he's not going to pull out one gun and shoot anybody. If he feels like he can't get away, he's just going to go. But if he feels like there's this much of a chance he's going to get away and he knows he's going for a long time, for those robberies and that smash and grab, he knew what was up. And he's driving a stolen car. Remember all those crimes he committed, right? What was it, 7 felonies? So he just got out of jail. It's not even a year. Not even a year since he's been out of prison. So they jam him at the gas station. Kahalehoe stays in the driver's seat. But Spillner gets out of the car and starts to fill up the gas tank. That's when officers make their move, right? Because you got Spillner already out of the car. So you can see his hands, you can see everything. And they jam the car. Officers approach the vehicle and, according to the officers, identified themselves. The only person that said that the officers did not identify themselves was Spillman. Officers identified themselves, which, by the way, they're always wearing vests that say policeman on it. He was jammed in a gas station. They run up on him. They all get out. They tell him, freeze. Keep in mind, this is a violent offender. He's got assaults. He's got UCPV, UEMV, and drug cases. When dudes are on drugs, they do crazy things. He's also known to carry a gun. How do we know? Because we arrested him and he was carrying a gun. So forever now, when policemen run into him, and whenever there's a bulletin, it's going to say known to be armed and dangerous. That's how we figure that out, guys. They don't make that up. If you've been arrested carrying a gun, you are considered armed and dangerous because you have a track record. And there are people that have been arrested 100 times who've never had a gun on them. They're not considered armed and dangerous. But you get arrested once with a gun, the very next time you get arrested, it's careful, this guy probably has a gun on him because he did last time. And he don't care about committing felonies because he's got 7 of them, right? And he's driving a stolen car. And then we have all these robberies and a smash and grab. This guy's off his rocker. He's probably smoking meth. He's probably high on ice. He's a Batu Banga. And everyone knows that this dude is going to get nuts. So they jam him when Spillman's outside of the car. That's a safe move. Oh, Lei Lima. $20 in the super chat. You are amazing. I appreciate you, Lee. Lei, you're the best. And of course, tell Moana I said what's up. Love you guys. Love my Patreon. So, Spillman gets out pumping gas. Officers approach, identify themselves. Spillman then digs out on foot, tries to run away. Of course, he gets captured because they rolled up deep, the crew guys and the SED guys. They probably even had white cars in the area just for transport because you cannot transport a guy in a motor car or in their unmarked cars. Yes, they were in unmarked cars. That's how you catch bad guys. So they roll up on him, unmarked car. They identify himself. Why else would Spillman run unless he knew it was the police? Then when he runs, he can see them and they're chasing him, right? They're wearing badges affixed. It says 8 police on their bulletproof vests. So they roll up, they draw their weapons. They're like, yo, give up. Don't go nowhere. He digs out. They catch that fool. So Spillner gets caught. Kahalehoe started the car. So right away, we know where this is going. He's blocked in. Cars everywhere. Policemen everywhere. His buddy digs out. He starts the car and starts to drive back and forth at him. No way. $50 in the super chat. Man, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Adam Asu. I appreciate you, Adam. You're awesome. Thank you for that, man. That's mad love in the super chat today. That's the first time for Adam. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you want me to make videos about, man. Hit me up in the chat. That's awesome. So he starts to drive the car. Starts him up, starts to drive the car, but he can't go anywhere because they tried to jam him up, right? Literally the safest thing you could do is to get cars as close to him as possible so he can't create momentum and blast through cars and start hitting people. What's he start doing? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Inchworm. He's doing the inchworm all the way out, trying to get away. Bangs a police car and then bangs a policeman. Granted, he didn't hurt the policeman because the policeman was not between 2 cars. So, bam, just gets hit a little bit. I think they called it grazed in the report. Either way, surrounded, can't go anywhere. Driving a really heavy weapon, a blue stolen Subaru weapon. That might as well be the model of the car at this point. It's called the blue Subaru weapon. And he backs up forward, back forward, back forward, back forward. Bangs the car, hits a policeman. Trying to get away. So, fearing for their own lives and the lives of the fellow officers, the 5 officers who were immediately around the car began firing. At HPD, you are taught, and as in with other law enforcement, you fire to stop the threat. You do not aim for the head. You do not aim for the hands, the toes, the belly, the arms. You don't shoot guns out of the hand. You don't shoot the tires out. You're not allowed to, by policy, shoot at tires. You're not allowed, by policy, to shoot at hands or weapons. You don't shoot the ignition. You don't shoot the engine. This is not a movie. That doesn't work. You shoot to stop the threat. You only shoot to stop a threat. You don't shoot to kill. You don't shoot not to kill. You shoot to stop. So they shoot into the car. 5 officers shot, an average of 4 rounds. There were 20 rounds shot when all was said and done. I don't know what the counts were on the different officers. All I know is there was 20 rounds shot. And this dude ends up getting shot, and of course, he dies at the scene. Of course, Michael had an illegal handgun in his waistband when they recovered the body. So, they assumed he was armed and dangerous because of his prior arrest with a firearm, and they were correct. He was armed, and he was dangerous. This was confirmed by Sates, I think as you say it, Eric Sates, the attorney, but he confirmed this in his interview, that he did have a gun on him, but this is what followed next, but he did not take it out. That when your defense is, yes, he had an illegal firearm on him, which he's not supposed to have because it's illegal in Hawaii, and he's a felon, so even if it wasn't illegal in Hawaii, he shouldn't have it. He did not pull out his gun. That was his defense. That's his case, that the officer shouldn't have shot him because he didn't pull the gun out. So Spillner, who fled the car, he was the only witness that gave a statement from what I was able to gather in all the documents and all the interviews, was the officers did not identify themselves and that the car only lurched forward after Kahalehoe was shot and released the clutch. However, they shot him after he banged the car in the policeman. So that can't be right. Snowy Peaks, what's up? So let me first say this, because Eric Sates said yes, he had a gun, but he didn't take it out. Let me just clarify something, guys. It is very convenient, how amazingly convenient it is to say that you are not a threat to officers when you're the one sitting in the car. When you're in the car, it's easy to say, I wasn't going to hurt anybody. I never pull out my gun. That's easy to say. And when you're defending someone who was inside the car, it's easy for you to say he didn't mean to hurt anybody. He was just trying to get away. Try getting out of the car and then standing in front or nearby a car, which, by the way, you're commissioned to arrest this person. The warrant says that the officer shall arrest, and he was in violation of Hope probation. What's up, Johnny Walker? So he's in violation of his probation. Now there's a warrant issued for his arrest, probably $20,000. That's typically what they are. Crime Stoppers issued that alert. Officers shall arrest. It means in the policy and according to the warrant, they shall arrest or they can be held in contempt. It says that on the warrant. I'll get you guys a warrant and I'll read it to you one day. It says the officer shall be held in contempt. So they shall arrest someone for the warrant. So they have to be there arresting him. Police aren't doing this just because they're like, yeah, this is the one we want to arrest. They have to. They were sent here to find this guy, who, by the way, is driving a stolen car. Let's talk to the guy whose car he stole. See if he wanted police to address this guy, or they just wanted to let him go. I'm sure he wanted his car back, and I'm sure he wanted this guy arrested. So they do everything so far like they're supposed to. They tried to jam him so he couldn't get away. He gets shot. The ball was rolling at this point. He should have put his hands up outside the window, dropped the keys, unlocked the door from the outside like they would have told him, get out, get on the ground, hands behind his back, cross his feet at the ankles. They would have cuffed him. He would have went to jail. He would have been alive. He's already a career criminal at this point. Dude, he might have been a really good dude. Batu is a crazy drug. It changes the best of them. I bet you he could be a good guy. I bet you had a good family. I bet you was a good uncle and cousin. But at this time of his life, whether he was smoking ice or whatever it was, he was committing crimes, felonies, dangerous, violent felonies. and he was carrying a gun driving a stolen car. And he was being reckless and negligent and careless, not caring about the lives of the officers or the people that were around him. So, Sates claims, Eric Sates, I believe is his name, he's the attorney, claims that the officers created the danger to themselves by firing at a gas station. This is a typical tactic of an attorney, because there are certain laws on the books that says that officers are expected to not put themselves in danger and then to respond to that danger with lethal force. What that means is, let's say you're standing on the side of the road and there's a radio dispatch call that comes out and says, I have a stolen vehicle, a stolen red Monte Carlo heading Cocoa Head bound on Kahalehoe. Well, if you're on Kahalehoe, let's say you're on a traffic stop, and you look up and you see the car coming for you, what you're not allowed to do is run into the street, in the middle of the street, as the car's coming towards you, draw your weapon and fire into the car, and then say, he was going to hit me. Well, he was only going to hit you because you jumped into the roadway. Okay? That's essentially when you place yourself in jeopardy. That's you placing yourself in jeopardy and then killing that person and claiming it was self-defense. They're saying that you can't do that. That's what that is about. That's what that case law is for. So what we practice in the police department is we typically try to allow an avenue of escape. But what that means is all 5 of those officers don't surround the car and draw their weapons at it, to where if he puts that car in drive or reverse, he's going to hit someone, so you got to shoot him. That's what this is about. But lawyers, I don't blame them. That's what they do, right? Their job, they're going to get paid if they get this guy off. That's what they do. So I am mad at them. The lawyers say, hey, you placed yourself in danger and then claimed you shot him because you were in fear of your life. No. These guys actually took reasonable and extensive measures to block him in so that people weren't hurt. Just property blocked him in so that he had a better chance of giving up. He knew he was facing a lot of time, right? So you got to start weighing this stuff. At what point do you stop a guy? Typically, they will say severity of the crime is a very, very important factor in determining use of force. Well, they can't use that one in this case, right? Because we're talking violent robberies, violent carjackings, driving a car into the windows, smashing the Macy's, right? Stolen car is a felony. These are violent crimes, and he's known to carry a weapon. So they couldn't use that one. They tried a little bit by saying, he had the gun, but he didn't pull it out. How awkward must that be when you have to say that in court? Yes, Your Honor, he did have a legal firearm. He's a violent felon, but he didn't pull it out of his waistband. Like that was some type of control, self-control he utilized. He didn't pull out because he was busy trying to get out. Plus, police don't know. When that stuff's happening and you're trying to get out of the way and there's a dude ramming cars trying to get out, you're not thinking, man, is that a gun in his hand or is it in his waistband? Right? You don't think like that. So, Seats claimed that the officers created the danger to themselves by firing at the gas station. He said, and I quote, there would have been a large explosion and people within several block area could have been injured or killed. He's talking about the gas pumps. Guys, this attorney is saying because the officers were near the gas pumps, they shouldn't have fired their weapon because it was reckless. They could have blown up the gas station and, I quote, injure people within a several block area. You've got to stop watching movies. You cannot blow up a gas station by shooting a bullet. That's only in Die Hard 1 through 7. You cannot do that in real life. And it has been proven. Don't act like you guys don't watch Mythbusters, because we all seen the episode where they shot at the gas tank and it didn't blow up. So we know that junk doesn't happen. Shout out to Mythbusters. So the officers on scene had between 5 and 17 years of experience. And I'm telling you, they are the best officers in the department, the most trained. They're the dudes that really got it up here, man. They're there for a reason. That is one of the divisions of the department that you get because you're good at what you do. Aloha Snowy, thank you so much. $10 in the super chat. I appreciate you. Let me know if you got a question. Thanks for all the support. Mahalos. So, these dudes are top notch. I was with them for a few months, and when I went back to the ATV unit, I used to work with them, and they would give me intel, and I would help them and give them intel. I got a lot of classmates up there. Love those guys. Solid. Always the best officers in the department. Between CIU and SED, the best officers in the department. And so these dudes know what they're doing, and they're not getting stupid. These are the dudes that save lives. These are the dudes that are taking out bad guys. They're not hurting innocent people. And they got big balls, to be honest with you, to do what they're doing. So, all the officers who fired their weapons were offered 3 days of administrative leave as procedural. That is what procedure at HPD calls for, is 3 days of administrative leave after a shooting. Everyone gets that. You shoot somebody, you get 3 days admin leave. There's important reasons for that. Number one is so you can spend time with your family and heal up, because it's very emotional. It's very destructive to shoot somebody. You're going to go through a lot. Your name's going to be in the news. You're going to be scrutinized. But also, the department will take your firearm. They will test the firearm. When the autopsies come back and show what bullets killed the person and what bullets hit, they will test those bullets, match them to the ballistics. They run all those checks. Full investigation is run while you're off and continuing after that. So you will get 3 days administrative leave no matter what. So while they're investigating, you get to be at home with your wife and your kids or whatever, your parents, and just like debriefing. It's essentially like you're basically debriefing with all the crazy stress that just happened. Because after a shooting, you're typing for 12 hours or more. You're getting interviewed by prosecutors, judges. We have ARB. We have like a review board. So it's a crazy thing. So they give you 3 days off, paid days off, so you can try to heal up. They don't want your head getting all messed up. They also want to allow for you to get counseling. That's a big thing too. We have a peer support unit, and if you want to go get counseling, they want to give you time before you return to work. And remember, every single shooting, like every shooting is investigated by the police, by the prosecutor's office, and by the review board. So there are 3 separate people that are investigating. The police have to investigate because it's policy for them to investigate, because if you did something wrong, they have to hold you accountable to the policy and procedure, and then also criminally. But then the prosecutor's office does it because they're a separate office. It's so that they're not biased. Tupacalypse 1, shout out to Mythbusters. FYI, they prove cell phones don't ignite gas station pumps either. Yo, thank you so much. John, I think you said, yeah? Say, call me Josh. This is my son's computer. He likes Tupac. Oh, you got to explain the Tupacalypse. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, man. $10 in the super chat. You guys are amazing. I appreciate all the support. Really do, man. I wouldn't be out here if it wasn't for you guys. Keep sending in those questions. Keep sending me cases. If you got a case you want me to look at, go ahead, send it to me, and I'll give you my perspective. That's why I'm doing this one right here. Thank you, guys, man. I appreciate you, Josh. So, all the shootings are reviewed by the police, the prosecutor's office, and the review board, so that it's like a checks and balance. The police are doing it because in-house, prosecutors are doing it so that they can have a separate department that doesn't care. They've shown they don't care about police officers, right? So they're separate to investigate what happened, plus the review board. The same thing happened to this shooting. So at the time of this shooting, Kahalehoe had 17 convictions, including 6 felonies for UEMV, auto theft, drugs, and firearms. 17 convictions, 6 of them were felonies. So, fast forward 2 years. That's where we're at right now. 2 years later, the family of Michael Kahalehoe is suing the city for wrongful death. The Eric Sates says, look, our police department has open season when it comes to firing shots into cars. That's a hunting quote when it's open season. Open season means you can just hunt whenever. You don't got to wait for a certain time. That's what he's saying. He's saying it's open season when it comes to firing shots into cars. When it comes to firing shots into areas where other innocent people may be hit. That's crazy. Bro, just so you guys know, police officers are responsible for every round they send down range. Remember what happened in the Breonna Taylor case? I thought that was justified, them going in there. I thought it was justified them shooting because they were shot at first. The problem is one of those officers, like indiscriminately fired a weapon. Kevin Harada, what's up, Kevin? One of the officers fired a weapon into like a neighboring condo. And they found that bullet. They saw the bullet hole, found the bullet, traced it back to his gun, and then they prosecute him for reckless endangerment, basically. Because he is responsible for every gun you send down range, and they teach you that. They drill it into your head in the academy. You are responsible for every round down range. You shot the bad guy, but the bullet went through and hit that kid that was playing football behind him. That's your fault. That was negligence on your fault. You got to make sure that there's nothing else down range. That's why they tell you to get a sight picture when you're shooting, because you can see peripheral. You're not actually focusing on your target. When you draw down on a guy, you're not actually looking at him. You want to see your center sight in front of him. You'll see his silhouette. Your peripherals work there. So they want you to be able to see everything. And that's why officers shouldn't surround the vehicle and then shoot at each other, right? So they surround it and then they start shooting and their officers behind. You don't want that. It's called crossfire. You don't want a crossfire situation. So Eric Seitz says that they got open season when it comes to firing cars and firing shots in areas where other people may be hit. Nobody got hit. It's because those guys are trained. Eric Seitz, by the way, is also the attorney in the Makaha crash that we just covered in that other video. So Eric Seitz says that officers created the danger to themselves by surrounding the car. I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what their positions are. Bro, he could be right. I don't know. He's the one saying this. HPD investigated it. ARB investigated it. Prosecutor's office investigated it. And found that these guys were justified. The lawsuit also alleges, the lawsuit also alleges that the officers didn't employ de-escalation techniques that could have prevented the shooting. Tell me something, guys. How do you de-escalate first? That's not how de-escalation works. De-escalation is reactive, just like escalation is. So, you're on a traffic stop. A policeman does not just pull out his gun and point it at you. That's not how it works. You're on a traffic stop. He walks up to the car. He's going to give you a ticket. You grab a knife. He grabs a gun. That's how escalation works. Police officers are allowed to one-up on the use of force continuum. We've talked about this before. So there are levels of resistance and force that police officers can respond to with their own appropriate level of resistance and force. But they're allowed to go one above you. So if you want to fight a policeman, all you want to do is exchange hands with him, right? You're like, I just wanted to punch the guy. It doesn't matter. Policemen are not allowed to just punch back with you. I mean, They can if they want, but I got in trouble for that once. I got scoldings because I never tased the guy. Police officers are expected to go one up. What that's trying to do is to cut off the guy's force. Because if we just follow him all the way up, he's going to take you all the way up. Right? But that's not how it works. If he goes up a little bit, they allow policemen to go one up above him to discourage him from going higher. Because now there's consequence. Right? A good example of that is if you want to fight a policeman, he's allowed to tase you. If you want to fight a policeman, he's allowed to use his tools and pepper spray you. If you want to fight a policeman, he's allowed to hit you with the baton. But if you grab that baton from him, he doesn't just respond with another baton or a taser or a pepper spray. Because you now are on equal, right? So you wanted to fight, so he went up to a baton, or let's just say he went up to baton. You take the baton. Now you're at baton level. He doesn't just now pepper spray you at the same level, because pepper spray and baton are the same thing. They're the same level of force. He's allowed to go up. Well, what's up? You have a taser, which is less than lethal. You have less than lethal shotgun. And you have, above that, firearm. If he doesn't have less than lethal shotgun, and you have a weapon like a baton, you are getting shot. This is your warning. They are allowed to go above you. And above a weapon is a lethal weapon, because all weapons are considered lethal. You can kill someone with a knife. You can kill someone with a stick. All it takes is one big right on the head and you're done. So, he can go up one level above the suspect. So when you're talking about de-escalation, let's get our terms right. That's not how de-escalation works. Now, they do teach people to, in academy, they teach de-escalation. You literally go through classes on it. And verbal judo, and how to talk people down, and all that good stuff. They spend a lot of time on it, guys. This isn't something they don't teach. That's a myth that you hear on the news. Policemen get taught how to de-escalate. However, it's not what he's using here. This is out of context. Sure, there's talking people down. When you know they're thinking about going up in the use of force, and you have time to say, hey, it's not worth it, bro. I tell you what, we're going to back up a little bit, give you some space, right? Just talk to me. Tell me what you want to do. That's de-escalation. Guess what de-escalation is not? De-escalation is not leaving that dangerous, violent felon with a gun in a stolen vehicle to get away. That is not de-escalation, but some people like to think that that's de-escalation. At what point, guys, do we decide to arrest a violent offender with weapons? At what point? Do you just let them go? That's what people want de-escalation to mean. That's what this attorney is saying they should have done. No, they should have backed up, let him drive for a few miles, think about what he's going to do. He probably was going to give up. No, he probably was going to do 90 miles an hour down Farrington through the lights and hit a 13-year-old kid who was going to school. Hit a 13-year-old kid that was spending the night at his auntie's house. That's probably what he was going to do. And if he hit that kid, someone would say, why didn't they get him at the gas station when they had a chance? This is going through policemen's heads when they're on scene. Look at this guy. He's obviously going to hurt somebody. Boom, he just hit my partner. Bam, he just slammed my car. You're already there now. Now you're at lethal force. Someone was going to get hurt or killed. So the question now, how does an officer, de-escalate in a hot situation. We talked about de-escalating in a cold situation. That's okay. Every cop wants to do that. Bro, it's not worth it. Don't do this. We don't got to do all this. Bro, I'll give you a cigarette. I'll let you call your wife. Like Dog the Bounty Hunter. I'll even take you to drive-through Jack's. It's all good. Well, I'll help you out. I'll tell the desk lieutenant you cooperated. I'll tell the judge. I'll call the judge and tell him it's all good. He wanted to turn himself in. He just fell on hard times. That's how you de-escalate in a cold situation. But in a hot situation with a dude banging the cars, hitting your partner, how do you de-escalate there? You can't. Not in a hot situation. In a hot situation, you start protecting people. That's your job, to serve and protect. At this point, he's a danger. Start protecting. It's hot, you got to protect. You're at a gas station full of people, full of cars, bunch of officers, start protecting. You got motorists, shoppers. Oh, PJ Tanag. What's up, PJ? Thank you for the $10 in the super chat, man. I appreciate you. Mahalos. I haven't seen you in a minute. Thanks for coming through. That's awesome, man. So in that moment, you got motorists, you got shoppers, you got officers. You're supposed to be protecting. Who are you protecting in that moment? That's the moment. Who are you protecting? Are you protecting the driver of that car, that stolen car, who carries a gun, who's wanted on violent carjackings, who smashed a car through the Macy's and stole all the jewelry? Is that who you're protecting in that moment? In that moment, when you got to make a decision, you don't protect him. You protect the people he's going to hurt. And that's what the officers think about in that moment. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback and say, hey, you should have de-escalated that for him. What about that kid he was going to run over when he pulled out of there? Who are you protecting in that moment? That's the moment that counts. So now that the prosecutor's office has shown that they can bring charges on officers who shoot into cars, right? We're talking about the SICAP case. Now that whole thing played out and everyone thought those guys are going to get in trouble, now they're going to review all the old cases. Everybody's grabbing an attorney now. They're going to review all those cases and try to bring a suit. And it's money in the bank. And as I said in the beginning of this video, I can't even blame them. Can you? If you knew it was money in the bank, what would you do? Yo, thank you guys. We just hit 100 in the live stream. I appreciate it. I think that's our record. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for all the love. That's really awesome. Thank you guys. I can't even blame them because the city will settle. Even though they already ruled that this was a justified shooting. That's in the criminal aspect. Remember, there's two sides to this in court. You have criminal and you have civil. On the criminal side, they already showed it was justified. Procedurally at HPD, it was justified. So they're not going to get in trouble administratively, and they're not going to get in trouble criminally because it was justified. But civilly, you don't need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. All you need to prove is 50%. So the city will settle. They don't even want to go to court. It would cost millions of dollars to go to court and fight this case, and they know it. So these guys are going to walk away with $1 million. Now, I wasn't there. You weren't there. Aloha Snow, thank you so much for the gift and the super chat. Man, that's awesome. Thank you guys. Mahalos. Thank you so much. Let me know if you got questions or you want me to make a video about something. You can DM me, find me on social at Dougkorenic, or you can leave it in the chat here. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the generosity and the gifts. So we don't know everything that happened that night because I wasn't there, you weren't there, we aren't there right now. It's easy to look back. It's easy to read these reports. It's easy to see what the attorneys say or what the reporters say. But we weren't there. But one thing that I've learned from the report that you hear in the media is there is always more to the story. We found that out the last few videos. So, what's the moral of this story? There's not a lot of money in burglarizing businesses and robbing people, carjacking people, and then ramming your car into policemen and their cars with a gun in your waistband. Because the only people who make money off that is your family after you get shot. Thank you guys for listening to this video and tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Be safe out there. You guys are the best, man. Let me know what you think. If you got questions or you got input, videos that you want to see, make sure you leave them in the chat or DM me, and I will take a look and try to get to them the best that I can. You guys are awesome. What is this? Where are we at? Almost an hour. I'm going to cut out. I got 7.5 minutes. So, let me go through some of these real quick. Yeah, Johnny Walker said the cost of bringing the case to trial will be more than the settlement. City just pays out, moves on. That's correct. That should answer your question, Jovan. Brandon Weiss. What's up, Dougie from Pearl City? What's up, Brandon? Thanks for coming through, bro. Beanbag versus taser versus pepper spray. I think I'd still rather take the taser. Bro, you don't want the beanbag. I tell you that. You definitely don't want the beanbag. That's a shotgun. You guys, the beanbag is the same as a regular shotgun. Except for the bullet has a beanbag in it. You don't want that. You don't want the beanbag. That'll leave a hematoma like that big on your body, right? And hopefully you don't get hit in the kneecap or something, right? You don't want that. I think I would rather take the taser because it's over in 5 seconds. Boom, you're done. As soon as it's over, you can breathe again. You can be tired all day because it's like you ran a marathon. Hawaiian Titans, $10. Great videos. Hey, thank you, Hawaiian Titans. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you like the videos. Thank you. Yeah, the beanbag hurts. The taser's over in 5 seconds. You don't have any like injuries. Pepper spray is miserable, especially the ones that HPD has. It's a monster mix. I don't know what they got. That solution, you can't, it's like not legal for personal use, but it's mean. Oleo resin capsicum. It's whatever they have. It's like an oil base or something, or alcohol base. I forget what it is, but it's got like these crystals in it that get behind your eyeballs. I had, how many guys we had? 3 guys after pepper spray had to take time off from work from the academy and go hospital. Had to get their eyes flushed. And it lasts for days sometimes. And then it gets in your clothes. A little bit of pepper spray, it is what it is. But those direct hits, you don't want that. Monica Peterson, thank you so much. Minority Reporter said, should have had a better plan. The plan stunk from the gate, just my opinion. I don't know what the plan was. I mean, you make a good point. Could it have been planned better? Maybe. But remember, this is a hot scene. They didn't know he was going to pull into the gas station. You know what I mean? They were following him, waiting for opportunity. And they said, you know what? He's pulling over. Maybe he's going to get out of the car. Let's jam him. Then he never got out of the car. For me, it's solid to surround him with your car. That's a solid tactic for me. Cars are hard to move. I thought that was a solid move. I carry a taser at work, Johnny Walker said. Had my boy hit me in the thigh with it. Had a Charlie horse lump for 2 weeks. Ain't no joke. Yeah, that's a drive stun. When you had a drive stun, that's when it doesn't shoot out. And they got new ones now. Bro, when I left, it was a cartridge that you shot, and then the barb shot out, and then you had to release that cartridge that were attached to it. Then you had to reach down, grab the new cartridge, put in the new cartridge before you hit it. And now they have these double stacks. My boy was just telling me the other day where you have two. You shoot one, and then you shoot the other one, and it stays connected. So it's like both of them are in there. You touch a cop here in Salinas, California with malice, you're getting straight up shot. Look up the videos here in the last couple years. Man, I need that Hawaiian vacation soon, says Jovan Lopez. Asked of God says de-escalation is an antidote for the bullies. Habit, what do you think about tasers being legal soon? I could see both good and bad in that. Yeah, man, I think it's probably a good thing. I think it is. 25 Actual says, I got a short in my mic. Is that what you're saying? I got a mic short? Maybe I popped it or hit it. I'll take a look at it. Kelsey says, MMA predictions. Well, I think that I got to root for my boy Dan Hooker. That's like something I got to do. Can't get around that. I think it's a good story for Glover. That would be dope if Glover could get a win, but I really like Blachowicz. I like them, man. They're both good dudes. You watched how they've been going back and forth. Just solid dudes. And then I actually like my boy from, what is it, Mile High? What is his name? All right, so Corey Sandhagen. Listen, I feel like Jan's going to win, but I think Corey Sandhagen, that's who I want right now. So if I had to pick, I'm probably picking Jan or Glover. Doesn't really matter to me. Corey Sandhagen. I want Dan Hooker. He's probably going to lose. Volkov, Hamzat, and probably Ozdemir is what I'm looking for. And I want Amanda Ribas. But past that, I can't even look at it. Lay said, are you still training jiu-jitsu? A little bit, but I got my last test on Friday for work, so I can get back to it after that. Canelo all day, you guys. Asking me about Canelo. Canelo's a GOAT. Dang, Johnny Walker's out in Thailand. I forgot about that. Said he straight tased some people in Thailand. Yeah, if you got a lot of muscle, you're gonna get lit up. A lot of muscle, you'll get lit up on the taser. Miss Sassy Gamma says, by any chance you work with Jason Allen? No, I didn't work with Jason Allen. Sorry, I don't know him. Chris 808, thanks for coming through. You're welcome. Para Para Rapa 808, Bullhead Row. And then Jovan Lopez, Doug, what would you have done? You used to be a cop on the Hawaiian beat. What would you have done? Tell us before you leave. know. I really don't, you know. I think it's hard to put myself in that predicament. You know what I really think? If the SED guys and crew guys shot their guns, I would have too. If I was put in their position. Those guys are trained better than me. They're trained better than me, and they were in more dangerous situations than me more often than me, and they shot. So they have more reps. So honestly, I think I probably would have. There's no way of telling. I'm not there, right? And if someone else shot first and I didn't have to, I wouldn't. But that's the truth, Jovan. Bolo head row. Okay. There you go. Bolo head row by Chris McKinney. I'm going to check it out. Thanks for bringing it up. I didn't even know it existed. I'm going to do that. And I'll ask my Patreon, since we go through books together. We'll talk to the Patreon and see what's up. You guys get to decide if you want to do it or whatever. Doug, do you think there'll ever be a CCW in Oahu? No, I don't. I really don't. Sadie Palacios. Thank you so much. I'm glad you found the channel. Thanks for coming through. It's a pleasure to have you. Lay, thank you. Alan Lynette, why did you leave HPD? I had babies, man. I had 3 babies out there. My whole tribe, my whole family lives out here, and my babies needed them. It was a tough decision, man. There's a lot to it. I'm going to do an episode on it. It was a lot, man. It really was. It was hard for me to leave. Strings of Twinkly Lights says, I always wonder what would be the purpose to target and escalate a nonviolent person and flip the script on them and drag them into a hostile environment. What would be their end game? I don't know. I don't know. But I've never seen that happen, to be honest with you, Strings. I never saw anyone escalate a nonviolent person. What's up, Derek Okabashi? Thanks for coming through. Glad to hear your stories. Hope your family's staying safe. What district? I was in D1 almost my whole career. I worked D1 ATVs. I started out in second watch. When I came out of fourth watch, I was in, so in my FTO, I went to D6 in Waikiki with Tyler Medeiros. Dude's a hammer. Love that dude. And I went Alex Mendez in D3, one of the best dudes ever, taught me a lot. And then I went to Galen Kaneshi, D1 first watch. That was the most miserable month of my life. Then I went to fourth watch with SB and Takata them, and then pushed out into second watch, District 1. And then I went undercover, D1 crew for a month, undercover, and then went to SED for like 4 months, 5 months. And then I went to D1 ATVs for the rest of my career. I was in D1 ATVs from 2013 till 2018 when I left. So almost 5 years there. Loved it every day. Good people, good family. All right, guys, that's it. I appreciate you, man. I got to get to bed. Thank you guys for coming through. It means the world to me that you guys came and hung out with me for an hour on a Thursday night. And yeah, I know Cody Pierre, Alan. Cody, she's solid. I worked with her on bikes. We always did parades together. If you know her, tell her I said what's up. Love that girl, man. She's doing well too. Heard she just got married, so congratulations to her. Shoots, guys. Love y'all. Thank you, Patreon, for coming through strong as always. You guys are the best. I will see you guys Monday night for Chapter 9, Part 2. That is a touching one. That's the Michael Chun murder. That poor boy that was abused and tortured for years. It's a hard one to go through, guys. So this is the hardest one I ever had to go through. So Chapter 9, Part 2, Michael Chun murder. Monday night, 5:30 Hawaii time. I'll see you guys. All the notes can be found in my Patreon for my Patreon members if you want to go through the notes and the citations for everything I used and my resources for this video. Thank you, guys. Be safe out there. Until the next time, Allah.